Do autistic people want friends? Spoiler alert. The answer is, perhaps unsurprisingly, yes, of course we do. So why then are we so often socially isolated? Hi everyone, Paul Mikulev here from Aspergers from the Inside. I make weekly videos sharing the human side of autism, so make sure you hit subscribe to get the latest content. So if autistic people want friends and need friends just like everyone else, why do I commonly get questions like, how can I reach out to my autistic friend? How can I connect with my autistic partner? How do I engage my autistic child that seems to just want to play by themselves all the time? This is actually a really important question because it's not so much, do I want friends? It's, is it possible, is it enjoyable to be around other people or not? And very often the autistic experience is other people are difficult, other people are challenging, other people are confusing, and therefore it can be easier and simpler and nicer in a lot of situations to be by myself instead. So with that in mind, if everyone needs friends, the question as to whether I want friends depends more on if I've had positive or negative experiences with people and with attempting to socialize in the past. It's quite common that my attempts to socialize have been rather difficult and have led to me trying to be a different version of myself that doesn't feel very authentic just to try and fit in. And so masking takes quite a lot of energy, and sometimes if I've done it for too long, then sure, I would love to have the company of other people, but the time and the effort and the energy that it costs is just too much, and so I would much prefer just to be by myself instead. There are also some activities that lend themselves to being done alone. This is why kids sometimes play by themselves. It might be the nature of the game that it doesn't really need another person. If I'm reading or writing or doing another kind of hobby that needs my full attention, then I don't necessarily want to share that time with other people. But because we all need social interaction in our lives, it's likely that I'll want to speak to people about my hobbies at a later time. So even if I enjoy spending time alone, I also later enjoy interacting with other people. There are a lot of legitimate reasons that make socializing more challenging when you're autistic. Not everyone has the same interests. Not everyone has the same preferences of things they would like to do. If my friends like to sit around in bars talking about cars and football, then if I don't particularly like doing those activities, it's going to make socializing with them a little bit more difficult. Similarly, social spaces in general with lots of people tend to be quite loud and noisy, and there's lots going on. And especially for me personally, my voice is fairly low. If there's a lot of background noise, other people can't hear me very well, which makes conversation of any meaningful sort quite difficult. And we end up shouting at each other and saying a lot of, "What? I didn't quite catch that. Can you say it again?" And it's not necessarily a very pleasant experience, number one. And secondly, it takes a lot of energy to be in such a high energy environment. And if I think back to my school years, I often wanted to be involved and to play with the other kids, but they were often really mean. One of my favorite quotes from Look Me in the Eye by John Elder Robinson, he was describing how his psychologist wrote about his behavior, and his psychologist, looking from the outside, was saying, Johnny doesn't like to play with the other kids. And he reflected from his internal experience that the answer was probably more like, Johnny would love to play with the other kids. All the other kids are really mean to Johnny. Johnny would prefer to just sit and play by himself instead. So that particular story was actually one of the reasons that I started this YouTube channel in the first place, because there is such a big difference between what we feel on the inside versus what it looks like on the outside. So another good example of this is that very often my disengagement in regular social activities is actually due to a desire for deeper connection. I personally find large groups and kind of surface level conversations fairly draining and not particularly nourishing or connecting at all. I much prefer either one-on-one interactions or small group interactions where we can actually have a deeper, more meaningful conversation and connection. The more people there are around, especially the more people that don't really know me all that well to begin with, the more pressure I feel to mask what would normally be considered socially inappropriate tendencies. Maybe I talk too much or get too excited, or maybe I'm really tired and I forget to smile and be polite and look people in the eye and engage in all of the socially appropriate stuff that can take a lot of energy. I remember one time with a small group of friends, we weren't that close, I guess, but I remember being really tired at the end of spending an entire day with these people. And we went out to eat dinner at a restaurant, and I was so tired that I put my head on the table, like lay down on the table with my head resting on my arm on the table. And that was fantastic. I had my eyes shut. I was still listening to the conversation. I could hear everything. I could respond if and when I wanted to without feeling the need to necessarily be engaged with everything. And in hindsight, that was fantastic for me, but it made some of my friends at the table feel a bit uncomfortable. So very often being social takes too many demands, and it means that when I'm tired, the only option is to withdraw from that situation and take some alone time. This can happen in intimate relationships as well. Just because you love someone doesn't mean you want to spend 24/7 with them, interacting with them, talking to them, responding to them. Sometimes talking, listening, responding takes too much energy, too much attention, and we need a break where there are just no demands put on us at all. It makes me think of an example of either going to the beach by yourself and just chilling on the sand and having a nap and doing whatever you feel like, versus going to the beach with kids where they want your time and attention and they want you to play with you and there's always something to do. It's quite a different experience. I mean, kids are fun, but it's definitely not the same type of relaxing as if you had the time to yourself and you didn't have any demands on your time or attention. So I guess in summary, yes, of course we want friends. Everybody needs friends. Everybody needs social interaction and a supportive network. We tend to thrive in communities where we have a supportive social network because it means that I don't need to do everything by myself. It means that I can get help if I need to. But unfortunately, relationships take a lot of work, and especially stereotypical arrangements in relationships are often just not going to work. I probably need alternate ways to communicate. I probably need alternate ways to connect and disconnect sometimes to recharge at the same time. It's totally worth it. We all need friends. We all need social support. Yes, it's difficult, but if we think a little bit outside the box of what a normal relationship would look like, then suddenly relationships are possible and we don't have to be alone. Anyway, I might leave it there. I'm interested to hear how you get your social needs met. Do you have a large group of friends or just one or two? How do you make your relationship work so that you can be an authentic version of yourself and get your social needs met at the same time? So leave us a comment on that if you can. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I hope you found this valuable and I will see you again next week. Bye.